Welcome back to another explainer. Listen, today we're unpacking some source material that frankly feels a little bit like a legal bank heist. Seriously, if you've ever felt like the traditional credit system is just totally rigged against you, well, you're going to want to pay close attention to the mechanics we're breaking down today, because we are literally looking at how insiders erase their personal debt visibility. It's wild.
So let me ask you a question. Can a $10,000 debt just disappear by next week? No, really, think about it. What if I told you that the 10 grand crushing your personal credit score could vanish in a matter of days, and you wouldn't even have to pay the bank a single cent yet? Now, I know, it sounds like absolute magic, but in the world of high-level credit, this isn't magic at all. It's a very deliberate, structural strategy called the invisible debt hack. You see, most people are out there struggling, right? They're chipping away at their cards bit by bit, watching their scores crawl up at a total snail's pace. But today we're looking at how the insiders do it. They don't just pay it off, they move it.
The credit utilization trap.
Okay, let's dive into this, because before we can execute the hack, we really need to understand the trap that's keeping everyone stuck. You know how your score just absolutely refuses to budge sometimes? Well, it almost always comes down to one thing: utilization. That piece makes up a massive 30% of your total credit score. Think about that. You could have a flawless payment history, accounts that are years old, a perfect mix of credit, but if that 30% utilization piece is maxed out, your score is suffocating. It is literally the silent killer of personal credit.
And you probably already know how this math works, right? If you've got a $5,000 balance on a $10,000 limit card, that's 50% utilization. Even if you're making perfect payments every single month without fail, the banks still flag that ratio as high risk. It's crazy. You are actively penalized simply for using the credit they gave you in the first place.
Section 2. The invisible loophole.
So, now that we see the trap, we need our exit strategy. We need to step into the much more favorable arena of business credit. Let's formally define what we're talking about here. Business credit arbitrage. This is an elite financial maneuver where you move your personal debt onto business credit cards, specifically cards that do not report to your personal credit bureaus. By moving that debt out of an environment where it's heavily penalized and into an environment where it's completely hidden from your personal FICO score, you instantly bypass that utilization trap we just talked about. And honestly, the mechanics are surprisingly straightforward once you see them.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why the arbitrage works so well. See, personal cards report directly to the bureaus, meaning those high balances are constantly dragging your score down. But business cards, they operate in a completely different ecosystem. That exact same $5,000 balance becomes essentially non-existent to your personal FICO score the second it lands on a business card. By moving it over, your personal utilization mathematically drops to zero overnight, which gives your personal score a massive, instant boost. It's a total game changer.
Section 3. Step-by-step execution.
Now, understanding the theory is great and all, but let's actually look at the practical, chronological moves you need to pull off this heist in the real world. Step 1, you have to set yourself up to look like a business in the eyes of the bank. And the source makes a really fantastic point here. You absolutely do not need some fancy corner office or 100 employees. Actually, if you've ever sold old clothes on eBay, driven for a rideshare app, or honestly, even if you just plan to start a little side hustle, you can apply as a sole proprietor using just your social security number. Though pro tip, it's highly recommended to grab a free EIN from the IRS website just to add that extra layer of legitimacy. Step 2 is picking the right card, and Step 3 is executing the actual balance transfer. Let's break down that second step a bit more.
What's really fascinating here are the specific hiding spots the source recommends, because you can't just pick any random business card. You need the ones that specifically stay hidden from the personal bureaus. First up is the Ramp corporate card. This thing is a powerhouse because it doesn't even require a personal guarantee. No way, right? Or hey, if you've got some cash sitting around in a business account, the Mercury Charge card is an awesome target. And if you're a relatively new business, check out the Fair Figure Capital card. It's smart because it actually looks at your business revenue instead of demanding a pristine 20-year credit history.
But whoa, hold on. There is a very stark caveat here, and the source is incredibly clear about this. Avoid Capital One for this specific hack. Seriously, they are one of the very few issuers out there that actually do report your business activity directly back to your personal report almost all the time. If you do all this legwork, right, and then you move your balance to a Capital One business card, you completely defeat the entire purpose of the strategy. Your debt is still going to be visible. So whatever you do, do not make that mistake.
Okay, so let's say you get approved for one of the good business cards, and you execute the move. You do the balance transfer. Now you're probably wondering, what about the fees? Fair question. Yes, there is usually a small one-time fee of about 3 to 5% to transfer the balance. But guys, think about the math here. If spending a few $100 on a transfer fee jumps your personal score by 50 or maybe even 100 points literally overnight, because your personal utilization just tanked to zero, the doors you unlock are going to pay for that fee 10 times over. We are talking about suddenly qualifying for way better housing, significantly lower insurance rates, and access to even more funding. It pays for itself.
Section 4, the snapshot strategy.
Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm not quite ready to apply for a business card just yet, don't worry. The source outlines a brilliantly simple backup plan, and it's all based on how banks actually monitor your spending. Here's the secret. They do not watch you in real time. Instead, they operate on a 30-day billing cycle, and they only take a single picture of your balance once a month. Just once. That happens on your statement closing date. So here is the hack. If you pay your balance down heavily on day 27, just 3 days before that closing date, the bank takes their picture and reports a tiny, beautifully optimized 1% utilization to the bureaus. And the best part? You can literally go right back out and spend on that card the very next day, but the bureaus will know because the picture for the month has already been snapped.
So the crucial point is captured perfectly in this quote from the source. You're essentially controlling when the bank clicks the camera. That hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? You are guaranteeing that they only ever see you at your absolute best. You manage the timeline, you manage the optics, and you protect your utilization score entirely on your own terms, without even needing a business card right away.
Section 5, prepping your credit profile. Now, what if your personal score is currently just a bit too low to even attempt getting these business cards? That's totally fine. You just need a quick preparation phase first. The source calls this the rehab phase. Before you can start hiding debt and playing this whole arbitrage game, you absolutely have to lay down a clean foundation. That means you need to clear off any old late payments and aggressively work to remove collections that are just dead weight on your profile. Now, doing all of this manually can be incredibly tedious, which is exactly why the source mentions a DIY tool they put together called Credit Rehab Pro. It's actually designed to generate the dispute letters for you, which lets you run this entire cleanup process essentially on autopilot.
Once your profile's rehabbed and looking good, the sky is literally the limit. In fact, the source actually offers a free credit bootcamp to take you the rest of the way. If you want the full, detailed roadmap on how to go from a totally thin personal profile to securing up to $100,000 in invisible business funding, that is exactly what they cover in those sequences. It's all about executing these applications in the exact right order.
Which brings us to our final question for today's explainer. And I really want you to chew on this one based on everything we've just explored. Is your debt hiding in the shadows, working for you, or is it out in the open, holding you back? Think about it. You now know the actual mechanics behind the invisible debt hack. You know exactly how utilization traps you, and you know how business credit arbitrage can set you free. So don't let your debt keep you stagnant. Take these concepts, dive deeper into the source material, and start building the financial profile you actually deserve. Thanks for learning with me today.